Thanks for checking in on the State of Basketball Podcast, episode 82. I'm Adam Miller, and I'm here with Jaren Wilt each and every week, and we are going to be bringing you the news and notes on all 11 Division I schools in the state of Indiana, because in 49 states,
it's just basketball.
In Cinco de Mayo today, or if you're listening.
Well, tomorrow, or several days ago.
Yeah.
Depends on when you're listening.
Yeah.
We'll never get that right, will we? How we try to...
Time is a crazy thing.
Yeah.
But we are going to be talking mid-major basketball, and we are going to be joined by a Southerner now, a Southerner who, reports on mid-major programs. You may know him on Twitter as Bracket Busters. We know him on Twitter as Crow's Nest Coffee Roasters, a.k.a. sponsor of our power rankings.
Which we don't have to bring up today because we're not talking about power rankings.
Exactly.
Is that messed up that we're not gonna plug him on the episode that we have him on? But if you want Crow's Nest Coffee, you can check the description.
Come on.
I could not do it.
You know what?
I'm trying to get those numbers. I'm trying to build a favor so that
he's got to sell his product.
True. All right. Well, do we want to bring him in?
I guess, man.
All right, Elliott Crow, welcome back to the show. You were with us last preseason.
Yeah,
I think we did a preseason preview. I think so.
Yeah, at some point. What month it was in? I don't know.
Couldn't tell you.
We could have recorded it in 1 month and released it 2 months later.
It's true.
We don't know. We don't remember.
The off season is the thing, man. I've already lost track of time. It's May. That's wild to me. Just in general.
We can sleep now. We made it to May, so we can all finally take our rest.
Well, except the Pacers are still playing, so we still have a stranglehold on us, the basketball world.
And the Fever started.
Yeah, they played today, right? Didn't they play in Iowa?
Yep. Preseason game,
which is cool.
At Carver Hawkeye Arena.
Yeah, and voice of the Dons, John Nolan, is now doing radio for the Fever.
Nice.
So he was out there too. So he was out there. Yeah, I guess we should tell the people what we're doing here, since Elliott's not going to plug himself yet, I guess. We'll see if he brings it up, but let's see if he knows his.
We'll sprinkle it in.
But we're going to be just talking about mid-majors. So Elliott is a mid-major expert. That's what he calls himself. It's on his business cards. And so we're going to be talking about mid-major programs, just kind of what teams were impressive this past year, and then just kind of what it's like being a mid-major program with the state of college, how college basketball is today, because obviously you're seeing teams pay and pay and pay, and that's not what every school is able to do. So how are they surviving, and how kind of we think that's going to go. But before we start, why don't you take this opportunity to tell us a little bit about what you do, since I guess you are our sponsor for this season. I guess the sponsorship has ended.
We're not going to renew it, I guess.
We haven't seen the contract.
I should have brought the mug up here with me, but I forgot to. But yeah, I'm Elliott Crow, like they all mentioned. I have ran Bracket Busters now we started December 2023-ish, so about halfway through that season. So this was actually our first full season under the belt. But before that, I'm a big side hustler, so I'm gonna go ahead and plug my coffee, Crow's Nest Coffee Roasters, for all you out there that have listened to this before. Proud sponsor of the State of Basketball Podcast. So,
Power rankings.
Oh, my bad.
That's a different contract dispute. I mean, come on, don't overstep now.
We'll have to bump up the affiliate fees for that.
Exactly. That's a big ask. We're still holding out for a Ferrari or one of the big players. No offense to you, but it might come around.
You need home field. That's who you need. You need to get home field in there.
Why think that small? I think Baden or Wilson.
47. Hear me out. Spalding, and we have the airless basketball.
Genius.
And that, like, we literally don't want anything from you other than
Give us
just
one
the
airless basketball.
Yeah. A lot of tangents already. But I don't know, where do you guys want to start? Where do you want to start, Jaren? Since you're on my left and Elliott's across from me, across state lines, he doesn't get to pick. Do you want to start with just like this last season? We had a couple of mid-major teams in the tournament.
Yeah.
We didn't have like a Indiana State. We didn't have one just get slighted, I feel, as bad this year.
Yeah, I feel like
selection.
I feel like outcomes were like it was to be expected kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't holding on to hope to like a mid-major squeaking in from Indiana.
Yeah. Unless you're Indiana.
Yeah, that's why I said mid-major.
Okay. Well, yeah, I know. Sometimes it feels like that. Or why don't we just start with Elliott? Was it a good year for mid-majors or a bad year for mid-majors in the results category?
Results category, I would say regular season across the board, I think it was good. Because really we had some good stories coming out of like UC San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
Trent, first year eligible NCAA tournament, incredible year. I talked about UC San Diego, UC Irvine a lot. And then like I think some of the results in the postseason that you see, we put so much emphasis on the NCAA tournament, obviously, because it's the NCAA tournament. And what you're going to see is, I do believe mid-major struggle a little bit to get back to that Cinderella story. I think they can get there. I know we're going to talk about the transfer portal and talk about the NIL later on in the show. I think anybody who's a fan of mid-major is disappointed in the tournament results. However, the NIT was an absolute blast to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, we had UC Irvine and Chattanooga in the championship. For people like me, I don't know if they had 500,000 watching it. However many people were watching, absolutely loved it. That kind of thing. And pretty much the whole NIT field was just mid-majors, because whenever they announce it, I'm like, this is incredible for me. I love this. I'm watching every single game in this thing, even over some NCAA tournament games. Like, I'm watching this.
Yeah, because the crown, right? They introduced the crown this year, and that pulled like almost every eligible team.
That was a disaster.
Yeah. But I hope they keep it like that, because like I don't care about the crown, and like I watched Butler like play in the crown, but like I was not like locked into any single other game in the crown. Mm-hmm. And if I was a team, I wouldn't want to play in the crown necessarily. Yeah. But like from a like basketball like a basketball fan, I feel like watching the NIT, like what you said with UC Irvine and like Chattanooga, that's just like a better story. We had Indiana State last year in the NIT finals. That was really, really cool. But like this is really cool because it's like these teams, I feel like they're just playing for more. They care more. Like, whereas like a high major team is like, well, we didn't get to the NCAA tournament. I guess we'll try and win the NIT. Like, might as well win something. So.
Yeah, and I mean, even I will say like Indiana State's run, I think, was maybe a shade more cool, I guess, of a story, simply because like obviously they got snubbed.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember who they beat to get to the finals, but I feel like they did knock off a power school or two in there.
Yeah, they played who? Seton Hall in the finals, and they beat, it was another Power 5 school. Oh jeez, they beat, was that Utah they beat in like the second round, or was that
yes, I think that sounds right.
They beat Utah.
They beat SMU in the first round, Minnesota in the second round, Cincinnati in the quarterfinal, and then the semifinal they beat Utah.
Okay.
So
yeah, I mean, you're talking 3 power conference schools back to back there.
Yeah.
And even first round SMU's not exactly a bad team. So
power school now.
Yeah, power school. Yeah.
Yeah.
But even though this year, like there was a lot of good games in there, because so many of those teams, for example, like Loyola Chicago, kind of like stuck their way in there after like being just okay halfway through the season. Bradley was in there, UNI was in there. So like for people with Missouri Valley fans, it was great. I hope to see the same thing happen this coming season. What I hope doesn't happen is they kind of shove the NIT to the side, because now if like a lot of power schools aren't going to be in there, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what the viewership ratings look like, but I have that fear that it might be like the original Bracket Busters tournament where they keep it around for a couple years and then just push it away
Right.
into irrelevance, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, next year, there aren't they all going to be in Indy Division
Mm.
1, 2, 3, and the NIT?
That
Because I think
sounds right.
because
I
I
think
think the
so.
NIT is still going to be at Hinkle, and then
Mhm.
I think they're having it since the Final Four is in Indy. They're moving all the divisions to Indy for the year.
I
So,
don't know for sure.
so I think they're
That
all
sounds
going to
right.
be in Indy, which is like, again, really cool. For us, we got to try and maybe we don't go to the Final Four. Maybe we go to a Final Four of
You got to
some
sign up
sort
for that
there.
Crow's Nest Coffee Roaster sponsorship so you can get to go to the NCAA Final Four.
Exactly. Or sell enough mugs.
Yeah, enough of anything really.
I think like you talked about UC San Diego and like that was I feel like that might have been probably the most popular, or maybe one of the most popular upset picks. It didn't happen. What, they lose by like 3 to Michigan? Should have won.
Yeah, it was really close.
Yeah.
Should have won. Could have won against a Michigan team, and like UC San Diego looked like they were going to win that and deserved to win that. I feel like that was probably the most popular. Or like McNeese over Clemson, which actually did happen. Like that was also really cool. Um, who else won? Drake won in the tournament.
Colorado State, they're mid-major, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I feel like they're like the one of the ones that like actually did have that as close to a Cinderella run.
Yeah. And like
as possible.
legitimately we're like 0.1 seconds away from,
I mean,
moving on.
they also had the most favorable 5-12 matchup I think I've seen in a very long time against Memphis.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I still don't understand why Memphis was a 5 seed. I was shocked when I saw that, but for Colorado State fans, that's great because everybody gets to see Nick Clifford. Nick Clifford's just an incredible player, and he's going to be a lottery pick probably.
Yeah.
So I was glad that they did get their moment in that sense.
A lot of the picks, like especially on the 5-12 line, like Michigan being a 5 was also weird. Like
Yep.
just very strange. So like
Or like Louisville got shafted very badly.
Yeah, dude, like what? Like yeah, for sure. But like Drake and McNeese were the teams that won, Colorado State, and then Drake played who in the second round?
Tech.
Yeah, Texas Tech. And man, I wanted it for them. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess you're a Drake fan by a fan of mid majors. I don't know if you're a Drake fan by Missouri Valley Alliance, but that
As
was a cool
an
story.
Evansville alumni, I'm not exactly gonna like root for Drake and Bradley here openly, but I will say anytime that a Missouri Valley team wins a game in the NCAA tournament, UE gets a payday. So I'm not gonna ever be upset. But I always want the Missouri Valley to do well because they deserve multiple bids usually consistently every year, and just probably aren't gonna get it, but they do deserve it half the time, I believe.
How crazy is it to you on the Drake note that the past 3 Drake coaches just went to the Big Ten in the same year? With Nico Medved going from Colorado State or he went to Drake to Colorado State to now Minnesota, and then Darren DeVries went from Drake to West Virginia to Indiana, and then
McCollum went from
Drake to Iowa.
Well, and I think Henderson's going to be on the same path for them because, I mean, he's done nothing but win already, and now he's going to Drake. What's I think funny and interesting about Drake is they don't even have the highest NIL in the Missouri Valley.
Yeah.
They're up there. They're top 4, top 3 maybe for sure. But it's not like they're just spewing out millions of dollars. They just hire good coaches. Simple as that.
What does their AD know? What does he know?
It's incredible. I don't know if they're getting extra money from, trustees or whatever, wherever that's coming. It's coming from somewhere because all he does is hire good coaches. I mean, Ben McCollum had all kinds of people wanting to get him for years, and then it
Yeah.
finally just took Drake getting him, and now he's at Iowa a year later.
Why? Just wild. I don't know what it is in the water out there, man, but like they just got it. Like,
yeah, that's the only explanation.
It's not a place I personally would want to live. But I don't know, man. I guess they know ball. We might need to move the podcast because apparently they know ball.
State of Iowa.
Yeah. The logo's less pretty for sure. I think like when a coach moves on like after 1 year, like that's really cool, like for the coach. And like if you're not a fan of that team, you're like, oh, like you see a coach do well at a mid-major and you're like watching along and you're like, okay, like how where are they going to be next year? And like that's how it's always kind of been, right? With coaches, it's like, okay, Dusty May is bringing FAU to the Final Four, and then he runs it back with them again, takes them to the tournament again. It's like, but where's he going to be? Like, where is he going to go? Like, we know he's not going to be there forever. And that's always been like in the back of everyone's mind, but now it's like 100-fold because you're looking at that and you're like, okay, Ben McCollum's not going to be at Drake next year. That's a fact.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at it and you're like, okay, Bennett Sturt's not going to be there. Obviously, he's going to follow his coach in this scenario, but like, I feel like you just have to be happy in the moment more now because just like you're going to lose maybe everything as like a mid-major fan.
Yeah.
Like, how do you deal with that?
I don't remember what the number was. It was above 60 last year on the coaching carousel. I don't remember what the amount of coaching changes there were, but I was looking at it to write my newsletter last week, and it was 55 this year.
Yeah.
Or 56, 55, 56. And I feel like it's just going to consistently be in that really 50 plus range, 40, 50-ish range probably for coaching changes, because now with NIL, it's just going to be the power schools. You're pretty much like you're on a short leash. If you don't win, you're out because we can just go hire a mid-major guy. And then they're going to bring their good players with them. And then we're going to hand them $10 million in NIL, and probably 7 out of 10 coaches are going to be able to win if you give them an unlimited NIL budget.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy just like how coaches have to feel like their job security is even less. Like, buyout, if I were being hired as a coach, I would be like trying to negotiate my contract to guarantee one thing, and that is an astronomical buyout. Just so, like, I feel like that's the only way you're gonna like guarantee you aren't just fired like after sucking. Like I feel like as like a fan of Indiana, if the landscape is how it is now, like Archie doesn't get to year 4. Like there's no way, because they'd be like, okay, we tried it, didn't work out. All right, who's next? Like who's the hottest coach in America? Again, we'll find him. It's like I feel
53 coaching changes across college basketball. I think is what
53
is the according to Bart Torvik.
And that's what I've got on ESPN. I would say, are there any like coaching changes that make you mad at all, like that you've looked at? If you don't have the answer like right now, that we didn't prepare a ton of this beforehand.
I don't know if I would say mad. I would say that it makes me sad about the system in the current world that we live in. Even like, okay, UC San Diego, for example, Eric Olin left immediately to go take the New Mexico job because Pitino took the Xavier job.
Yeah.
So it just starts that domino effect of really good coaches at that level. They're not going to stay forever. I get that. But 10 years ago, even, these coaches would stay for a few more years, really build something special there. And now it's like, well, you feel like as a mid-major fan, the second your coach is winning, they're gone.
Yeah.
Like, and that's just the world they live in. It's no different than, Bucky McMillan did stay 4 years at Samford, and Samford got a hell of a buyout. They got like $750K for him taking the A&M job.
That's such a cool story too.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, dude's coaching high school basketball 5 years ago,
Yeah.
and now he's coaching A&M on private
Yeah,
jets. I
dude,
mean,
come
that's like
on.
insane.
Dream.
That's like the thing you talk about in the break room as a joke.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, dude,
I'm
one day I'm gonna be an A&M. This is all whatever.
and the
That's
fact he did it in 5 years
Yeah.
is just absolutely, some of these guys are coaching for 30 years before they get that.
Yeah, like wasn't Nate Oates like a high school or wasn't he a high
Yeah,
school coach at one point? And
I
then
think
like
I
so.
think so.
he did not do it nearly as like this is gotta be the fastest path from high school to high
Gives
major.
me hope. Gives me
Well, it's
hope.
like
It's coming for
you know
you.
how you see those YouTube videos? It's like how to make $1 million in a year or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's always like
Uh-huh.
those. I feel like that's what Bucky needs to do. He needs to do a how to become an A&M's coach in 5 years.
He's like, all you have to do is win. All right, done. Done.
Sick.
Yeah, I agree with you on like, feeling sad about some of these, and I feel like I don't know what the term for it would be. I feel like it's just like maybe the lifespan or something is just like it's just so short now because like to be hired as like no 10 years ago people weren't just firing their coach when things don't go well after like 1 year. Like they would give him a little bit more time, and then you would look at like hiring a mid-major coach. You don't want to hire them off of like one good year. You're like, okay, that's a bum league or whatever it is,
Yeah.
But like now it's like, okay, they have these guys at their school and they won a lot. Like, what could they do with actually good players and then bring their, three best scorers or whatever it is?
Mm-hmm.
Like it just all happens so fast.
Yeah.
And I think that turns off a lot of college basketball fans who are like casual fans.
Yeah.
They're like, I
Oh,
don't know these
100%.
guys.
I mean, I think really if the NCAA doesn't kind of reel in some of the stuff going on right now, I really think it's going to hurt viewership down the road. Like, it's going to attract more of what I would call like, look, I love the NBA, but more like NBA fans are kind of just like casually watching it, maybe
Yep.
betting on it, that kind of
Yep.
thing. Like, just not really the same die-hard college basketball fanatics that you get. Because, like college football is always going to be college football, but like
Yeah.
college basketball has that special atmosphere. And I just feel like we're going to get away from that because of where we're heading. And, like I pulled up the coaching carousel list over here, and like some of the weird stuff too that I see is like Alan Huss has taken an associate head coaching job
Mm-hmm.
after dominating at High Point at Creighton simply because they're pretty much handing him the coaching job
Yeah, his
once
coach in
McDermott
waiting there at
retires.
Creighton.
But then we've seen like multiple head coaches as well take assistant and associate head coaching jobs at other places, and that too is like as a mid-major fan, it's hard because like you see that, and I don't know. I agree. I think like overall, just it's gonna hurt the average fan, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, like my wife, she's an IU alum, so we would always watch like IU games, and she would like know the players. But like this year, she just because IU's roster had so much turnover, she just like didn't know anybody and just like
Yeah.
didn't care. Just
Yeah.
like didn't even really watch games. And like normally, like a couple years ago, we'd be watching, and she's like, I like loved Trace Jackson Davis, huge Trace Jackson Davis fan. Like got to watch him for 4 years, but then like she could probably tell you that Umar Ballo was like at the upstairs pub, and that's probably the only thing about him. Like that's probably the only thing she could tell you about him because of me like talking about it. Not even because like anything on the court. Like probably knew like Malik Renew
Mm-hmm.
and Anthony Leal and Trey Galloway, but like other than those guys who had been there for a couple years, no idea. Mbako, sure, but like Miles Rice probably doesn't even know the name at all, and just like the casual fans are just like I don't care.
Yeah.
I think it's
And
gonna hurt small schools even more too because you have to rely on alumni and fans donating money to the NIL. I mean, I get UE emails on the weekly trying to get me to donate NIL funds and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, at this point in time, why would you want to invest in it if these guys are just going to leave a year later? Like if I had tried to get Ben Hummerkaus to say and not go to Illinois? What is
Yeah.
my $10,000 I'm going to give UE going to do for that? If
Right.
Illinois is going to go offer him 200 to go play for them, I mean, it just like it makes it hard because you're like, okay, I want my team to do well, but also you're spending money on season tickets, you're spending money on tickets in general, merchandise, all this stuff, and then you're also expected to donate NIL on top of it, and it's just going to make it really hard for the average non-power conference school to really keep up and try to retain these players.
What I'm hearing is you need to strike it big, and you need to get some racks in, and you need to spend 10 mil a year for Evansville to have just like the best roster possible. Just, you know what? Get rich. Here's your step 1, get rich. Step 2, donate 20 million a year to Evansville. Yeah, that's the easy part. I mean, I'm telling you what to do. Come on. I'm laying it out for you, right? You got to fill in the blanks. You donate 20 million to Evansville, and then you're like, build the best roster known to man. And that's it. And then you got it.
That's the cheat code.
But if you do that, would the Missouri Valley still only get one bid? Probably. Probably. I don't
Even
trust
though, man,
I don't
Murray
trust
State's
them.
building a insane roster.
Who is?
But also Murray State.
Okay.
But they have their NIL is like astronomical. It's got it. I'm pretty confident from what I've been told it's going to be number 1 in the Missouri Valley, and it's not even
Fueled by
close.
Ja.
I mean, I don't know who's donating, but probably.
I heard a rumor that every time he gets fined, he donates that same amount to Murray State.
Dude, he loves that campus. I mean,
that's not a real rumor, is it?
It is now. We put it out there. Put it out there. Rumors spread, man.
He's racking up that NIL fund.
He's only out there doing gun sellies to give Murray State some more money. Think about it.
Goodness gracious.
Come on, man. I'm just trying to look at the coaching carousel now. You think Doug Davenport runs the same kind of system as Scott, as his dad at Bellarmine?
I hope not. I really hope
I
not.
hope so.
You know what's so funny? They that is a fan base that actually you would not think exists.
Yeah.
But they are really passionate about Bellarmine. And I just it's so painful watching them play basketball. I watched them when they came to Lipscomb earlier this year, and it was just bad. It was just really bad basketball.
I love it. It's sometimes you got to shock the senses, you know?
Yeah.
It's great. It's great to just I can watch Alabama dribble drive all day, but what if they didn't do that? What if there's a team that did none of that? That's Bellarmine.
Dude, he just gets mad all the time. I've never seen he gets aggressive in games on the sidelines. And I'll be watching him dude, a lot of people would probably get fired for what he's doing. It's insane. Anyway.
Just been there forever, man. Just can run that whole thing.
Your pass is off by an inch. Your guy stands an inch out of position. That's an angry. You don't gotta. You just gotta know where to stand. Stand and catch. That's
pretty true.
My expectations would be high too.
Listen, you need to know how to do 3 things: catch, cut, and pass. That's it. That's it. Well, the shots will come. They'll all be layups under the basket.
But if you're not in your position, you're out of spot by 1 inch. It ruins the whole play. And how I would be if I was Scott Davenport.
Exactly, dude. There's this kid that we went to high school with, Elliott, and I don't know, man. He also went to college with you, Lightning. He was I don't know, hard to teach. He took everything literally, and so at a wrestling practice, one of my friends was teaching him a wrestling move and was like, okay, at this point you reach over here and you grab his ankle. And he's like, what if his ankle's over there? And he's like, and you grab it over there. You grab it over there. That's what you made me think of. Like, what if he's not there?
Yeah.
What if he's
Yeah.
off? Like, I don't know. Do you pass it to him or do you pass it to the spot? Which one? Tough. You gotta get the right players who know. Is it on the passer or the catcher, Jaren? Whose fault? Who's at fault?
Depends. Who was out of position?
I hope he does. That's all I hope. That's my
Also,
one
keep
hope.
forgetting that Fran McCaffrey's coaching a Penn now. That's
Yeah,
so wild
dude.
to me.
They brought him back home.
That is wild. But you know what? Good for him.
He's going to ruin the Ivy League for me.
He is single-handedly going to care more about Ivy League basketball than anyone else.
Yeah, that's
combined.
Yeah.
Like, literally. I had a student whose older brother played football at Harvard, and he was saying that, like, they're the losers. They're literally, like, the football team, they're, like, basically, like, you don't belong. Like, you only got in here because you play football and you're kind of smart. Like, you're basically the loser. It was like, no one cares. No one goes to your games. Just don't care about you. Like, no, what trust fund are you gonna run? Oh, look at that guy catching a ball. Lame. Yeah, Fran McCaffrey to Penn is so funny. That's an upgrade for Iowa, though. That is an upgrade for Iowa. Who else has moved? Yeah, Darren DeVries obviously moving to Indiana.
I'm pumped about that one for IU fans. I'm not an IU fan, but I love DeVries. I think he's an incredible coach.
I agree with you. Did you think? Okay, so there was like a lot of talk.
Oh.
That the last two people like in talks with him were going to be, like the last two candidates were going to be McCollum and DeVries. And I feel like IU fans, the IU fans that at least I saw on Twitter, so 1% of them were like, I don't want McCollum. You were one of them. You're like, I don't want McCollum. You know, why?
I just wasn't buying it. I don't know. I just don't. I didn't trust it. I didn't trust that he could do what he does and translate it to Indiana. I'm a skeptical.
Winning is winning, I feel like, though, you know?
I mean, maybe.
I mean, when has he not won, though? Did he win four national championships?
He's won 30-plus games how many years in a row?
Yeah. But listen, I want to see it, man.
I feel like maybe his personality might not have fit super well with the administration or the IU fan base. I feel like might have been an interesting fit, just the way he talks. I
feel like the IU fan base can be much harder to please than Iowa's fan base.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're Ben McCollum, like you're probably like, all right, this is probably better for me anyway.
Yeah.
Like, you have a much longer
loves
leash.
Iowa, so like, I mean, it was kind of, I almost feel like Iowa's probably a better. If I was an IU fan, I would have wanted McCollum, but I feel like Iowa's a better fit for him.
I feel like Iowa fired France so they could hire Ben.
Probably.
100%.
That 100% went into the decision.
Dude's last 3 schools he coached at were in Iowa. Dude doesn't want to move. No, I lost it. I had it. It was on McCollum and going to Iowa. Come back to me. Call me later, Teach. Call me later. I had it. Oh my gosh. This is gonna be something nice. Now someone's got to fill. I got to think.
No, I'm gonna make you wait. I'm gonna sit here in silence.
Dang it. If you're gonna have less techs on that side at least. Yeah, you're gonna have less tech. That's not what Iowa, but you're gonna have less technicals if you're Iowa.
Do you think that Ivy League refs know what a technical is? Like,
dude, I'm telling you, it's gonna be wild watching that man in the Ivy.
They might get 7 techs a game.
Insane.
He's gonna be thrown out.
Oh, 100%.
He's got to adjust something.
Because like Big Ten refs, I feel like they gave some leniency to
Yeah, because
to
they
Fran,
know him.
but also most coaches in general. But then Ivy League, they're just
Juwan Howard literally hit somebody. Literally hit somebody.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, it's definitely an upgrade. Do you know the last time that Iowa went to the Sweet 16 under Fran McCaffrey?
2017.
Oh, God.
2017? Any guesses?
2018?
Never. Never.
What?
He has never been to the second weekend of the tournament.
Weren't they a top 5 seed one year? I feel like.
Like with Luka Garza? Yeah. They had Luka Garza and then they lost to like Oregon, I want to say, in whatever year that was, the when he was National Player of the Year.
Oh yeah, duh. They were top 5 seed twice. They were 2 seed in 2021.
Is that when
and
they lost
5
to?
seed in 2022.
Yeah, that's when 2021. That's when they lost to Oregon, right? Am I remembering
Yeah,
correctly?
because they only made it to second. Yeah, they lost 95-80 to Oregon. And then they lost in the first round the next year.
Yeah. Let's go. I can't believe I pulled that memory out. I just remember watching
so
that
who
like, there's
upset them
no
as
way
the-
they lose. Well, they do. All right. It's never been to the second weekend.
Huh.
Oh, Richmond upset them that next year. That's right.
Yep. Good old Spiders. So, I mean, upgrade. Easy upgrade. He's right there. You think you're like, hey, we don't have to pay him that much. Dog was coaching D2 2 years ago. He's all right. He's all right. There was another one on here. Oh, is it? I think it's Virginia hired Ryan
VCU's.
Odom from VCU, and I think VCU is the school, and maybe you know this, Elliott, that like has their coaches in the contract. Like in the coach's contract, if they leave for another school, they have to play VCU afterwards, like after they leave.
Yeah, I think so.
So like that's a pretty sweet deal. Like and at VCU, like you have to bring your team back to VCU. I think
that's electric.
Every school should do that.
I have a hot take that I think like non-power conference schools need to get more creative with their contracts like this because now I know we talked about it, but like you're gonna be having a lot of turnover. So if you got a coach that's like you're like, okay, they're gonna probably be gone within the next 2-3 years. You need to like put something in there like that.
Oh, dude, if I'm Drake, that's the first line. That's the first line of the contract. It's like, if you
they
take
would
my
make
job,
so much money.
when you take another job, you must come back and play us here. Like, and honestly, why not? I know people are scared to do it, but like, why not? I would love to see that. Didn't Maryland like lose a road game out at, oh my gosh, I can think of this. Maryland lost a road game. I want to say it was like in like a Philly team. I got to pull this up.
What year?
Well, I can tell you that
this year.
Rutgers lost to Kennesaw State.
Rutgers to Kennesaw. That's what it was.
I don't know why. I love it. I don't know why in the hell they went to Kennesaw State though. But then Auburn did the same thing the year prior. They went to App State and lost to App State.
Yeah. And then everyone's like, "That's why I don't schedule that way." It's like, yeah, sure, dude. If I'm Kennesaw State, I'm like, I beat two lottery picks.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I wish there was like, it won't ever happen. I know it won't happen, but I wish there was a requirement that was like you had to do like one road game like that every single year. Like you can create even you can do like an interstate rivalry or something like that. Whatever. Maybe IU visits Indiana State once a year or something. Like whatever that.
Yeah, well, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
they'll never go.
Very true.
They couldn't even beat them in Assembly Hall. It's I wish.
Yeah, but DeVries has beat Indiana State in recent years.
That's true. Listen. If DeVries rekindled the flame with the Indiana rivalry, the two state schools that have the state in their name should play each other every year.
Texas State.
Do it at a neutral, even if you want
Texas
to.
Texas Tech. The two state schools that have the state in the name.
Texas Tech isn't a state school though, is it?
Isn't it? Is Texas Tech a private school?
No, Texas Tech. It's got to be public, right?
I don't know, man. Some schools are like sneaky private.
It is a public school. Public Research University. Okay. But Texas
A&M
Tech.
private?
No, no way.
They just have
Because they have all kinds of satellite campuses.
Okay.
I'm thinking about like
Public
state.
Land Grant Research. Yep.
You're talking about like Indiana State, man. Now I'm thinking about like Georgia playing Georgia State.
Dude,
Yeah,
that'd be
that's
so
where my
sick.
head was at. It was like the school that is the state like name, and then the state name with state in the name.
Oh. No,
Indiana
because,
State, Texas,
because,
Texas State.
normally normally like when you think of the two state schools in a state, Indiana's just a weird one because it's like Indiana and Purdue are the two state schools, but then like Indiana State is what it should be because like there's Iowa State, but like obviously there's Georgia State, but that's not what everyone thinks of.
Right.
But like that would be, dude, Georgia going to Georgia State,
like Ball University versus Ball State.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Dude, Purdue going to Ball State, that'd be pretty sick. Purdue and Worthen, Pack Worthen. It'd just be so cool because like you'd get to see these schools like Ball State, like Worthen is a really nice arena, and you would get to see it absolutely filled. Like not
never seen it. Yeah.
Up there. Like they wouldn't like seeing Worthen not tarped off anywhere would be so cool.
I think the first year the Ford Center was open, I think IU came to Evansville.
Oh really?
And, like I'm very confident that happened. I think that was
That's
the first year it
sick.
opened because I remember it was one of the top 5 most attended events at the Ford Center.
Yeah, and like that's, I mean, the Ford Center's big, so like, you know, I'm talking even smaller, like Purdue Fort Wayne. I think it still holds the record when IU came up and played Purdue Fort Wayne and lost in Fort Wayne. They played at the Coliseum, which is huge, and they set the record for attendance there. You know, sold the whole thing out.
Yeah, I don't remember
Weren't you
the
there?
exact. Yeah, I was there. I was there both times. Purdue Fort Wayne beat Indiana.
You went to the game in Assembly Hall?
Yeah. Well, I went back and looked. IU has played Evansville 9 times ever.
Please tell me Evansville has a winning record.
No. Indiana's 9-0.
Okay.
I was about to say, there's no way.
Dude, I don't know, man. I guess. Well, when did they go Division 1 anyway? So like,
True.
They
haven't played.
They won a bunch in like the 50s.
They haven't played since our senior year of high school.
Was that 2013?
13-14.
Yeah.
First game ever, 1935 to 1936 season. It was an away game in Evansville. Indiana won 39-32.
Bro, a nail biter. A nail biter. My God.
I did just look it up. It was the first game at the Ford Center. They played Butler, and they beat Butler 80-77.
That makes
Sheesh.
Not makes sense
bring back
that
that
they beat them,
rivalry.
but
honestly, yes. Bring that back. That was fun.
in the 96-97 season, they played Evansville and Indiana played twice. They played a home game for Indiana in Bloomington, and they played a neutral site in New York.
It's wild. Listen, they didn't know what an MTE was at that point. But
well, that was
I
Wednesday,
hope that was
November
MTE.
27th, so it had to have been like an MTE type thing.
A Thanksgiving thing. Dude, I would love, like, I feel like every high major school, even if you host them, every high major school should have to play a mid major within their state. Like, that would just make it so much better.
Yeah.
You know, do like I don't even care if it's a 3-for-1. Like, do a 3 at home and 1 at their place. But that would be so nice if you just had one team that you played, you know, or played a mid-major every single year, because that gets the people going. I mean, we know Evansville can walk into Rupp and win. But can Evansville walk into Mackey and win? I need to know. And that's what they need to give me. Can they walk into Purcell Pavilion and knock off the Irish? This is the stuff I need answers to. But we'll never
they're
know.
playing this year, right?
They are.
That was on the. Yeah, that's what I thought.
They are.
We going?
I'd like to. I'd like to. You can fly up. You can fly up.
I was gonna say I made that drive once. I ain't doing that again.
There's an airport in South Bend.
You can fly. There's a direct flight from where you live to Fort Wayne, right? You can drive with us.
Oh, I'm sure.
We'll carpool. I'd offer to let you stay with me, but I don't have any beds. Jaren's got a couch. I got a couch. I got a couch.
Shoot a podcast in person.
Dude, that'd be pretty sick. We could move
Who
this.
knows
table.
who knows if I even been living here at that point?
That's true. Jaren
Well, I guess it'd be like
it'll be in the fall.
I'd still be here. I'd still be here. more than
Jaren
likely.
lives in his studio. There's a bed right there. It's a studio apartment.
The studio is a studio apartment. That's how we. That's
studio apartment.
we just go. That's how we get an actual studio. Is we just go halfsies on a studio apartment.
Bro, if I tell my wife I'm wanting to get a studio apartment, I'm not finishing that sentence. I would like yes. What do you need? I need to purchase half a studio apartment. Get out. You know what? Have it.
Yeah, good point. Okay,
So
idea dumb.
we talked last year, and you called some shots, and I will, if you give me a moment, because I didn't think of this until I started talking. Classic. I will pull up if I can, our document from then. But you called your shots on like who you thought would be good. Do you remember that off the top of your head?
I know I did two, only because, and I probably forgot the rest for a reason. My guess is I didn't get them, but I remember these two in particular because I said IUND was going to win 10 plus games, and that was like, that was a hot take. What was the record ended up being? Let me look. They ended
I've got the
up
note.
All right.
10-22. Bam, right there.
And you know what?
and
If they didn't have that wedgie against Northern Kentucky, that's 11 games.
You had them 6-5 in the conference.
6-5.
No, sorry, 6-5 in the non-con.
Okay, I was like-
non-con.
Yeah.
So they went 4 and
They had some tough
7.
ones.
Yeah.
we
And then the
go,
other one
something
was
there.
SIUE was going to make the tournament. They ended up doing that.
That was pretty sweet too. I mean, now that the Screagles are going to be eligible, their time's done. Their time is over.
Yeah. They got some work to do.
You know what? Yes, you're just saying that because you're an Evansville fan. I'm literally wearing an Evansville hat. I want you to know I did wear this Evansville hat because we were talking to you. I picked this out specifically.
I wore my Evansville shirt yesterday after I accidentally got grill grease on my elbow shirt.
That's all you need to know, I guess, about how you feel.
No. It was a freak thing. Very disappointed if it gets ruined though.
Oh man, I should have done the. I should have had you blind rank some teams again. If you don't remember this last year, I had you blind rank 5 teams, and I gave them to you in this order: Kent State, Belmont, Yale, Purdue, Fort Wayne, and Samford. You ranked them in this order:
Oh,
one,
boy. This is gonna be bad.
1 Yale, 2 Purdue,
Okay.
Fort Wayne, 3 Belmont, 4 Kent State, and 5 Samford. I don't
Honestly, swap Samford and Kent State, and that was pretty close.
That's not bad. Like that's not bad.
I had more high hopes for Purdue Fort Wayne. but
Dude,
Didn't
that
we
was-
all?
so did we, man. I just felt like it kind of crumbled at the end of the season. Just
Yeah.
there were a couple of games that they gave up, like their conference opener that they should not have lost. That just made them not host, and then they had to play a road game in the conference tournament, and then that was curtains.
You did tell us too, as well, that same episode. You gave us a mid-majors watch list. It was 4 teams that eyes needed to be on. SIUE was the underrated pick that you had, so
Such
that's
a good one.
kind of where you called your shot with them. But you had McNeese, Duquesne, and then
Oh boy,
Charleston.
I had so much. Okay, Duquesne came
That's a
back
pretty
in
good
conference,
list.
but in
Yeah.
non-conference, Duquesne started off like 0-7, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Holy shit, what did I do?"
You're like, delete
I
my
was-
takes, delete my takes. You went on your Substack, you're like, delete this article.
But they turned it around. It was fun. And then, yeah, I mean, Charleston ended up pretty solid. And Charleston's transfer portal list, they're going to be good again next year.
Yeah, dude, Chris Mack doing things. That's not a bad list. I mean, SIU. Where were the UC schools, man? Come on, you didn't see that coming. You're supposed to know. You're supposed to know these things. Your business cards say mid-major guru.
Yeah, but then he put out a tweet that said, "I'm sorry, I wasn't familiar with your game about UC, about the UC schools."
That's
I'm going to be
fair.
honest, UC San Diego was not even remotely on my radar. Not like literally San Diego University. I remember looking at them and being like, oh, they might not be bad. I didn't even think about UC San Diego. Like, I knew UC Irvine would be decent, but I underestimated the Tritons.
Should have won a game. Should have beaten Michigan. Should have won that one. So I do see that we got a comment that said it was they beat Utah. Thank you, Indiana State Club Basketball. Mike, that's like a 20-minute back callback. So let me ask you a question. Is the way to be a successful mid-major to spend more than everyone in conference, or to find that diamond in the rough coach who's then going to leave? Or is it like a combination of the both? Because you're talking about Murray State might have the most, NIL in the Valley, but then, you've also got like situations where like Ben McCollum obviously, goes off and is a great coach and goes like 29-2 or whatever he went in the regulars, in their season. So like, what's the path to be like that mid-major that everyone's talking about?
I think it's a combination, but I also think it depends on the situation at the school, because not every school is going to have the money to spend. So, like, I think where we're going to start seeing, okay, St. Francis, right, dropped out of D1.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to see more schools, particularly some of those really tiny private northeastern schools, drop out completely of D1. I think it's because you have to have that combination of both of them to some degree. Because if you're at a school like that, or you're at a school even like some of them are Valpo, let's take Valpo for example, like, you're gonna have to rely on finding the diamonds in the rough in order to survive. And that goes beyond just a coach. You're talking about getting the players as well, because Valpo's not just going to magically find $1 billion to spend on NIL.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of like do both those things, because I think a really good example is, not to keep talking about Evansville, but David Ragland's a pretty solid recruiter. He just got his extension over that. His track record wise, I think is still up for debate. But like, you're gonna have to find coaches that, even though they might not have the incredible winning background, but can recruit kids and find people who you wouldn't expect if you don't have the money to spend. On the flip side, if you're like Murray and you have all the money to spend, all you got to worry about is finding the right coach.
Mm-hmm.
Because, they're Brian Miller, assistant underneath McDermott at Creighton, good track record of assistant coaches. He's going to be a good job. He's going to do a good job there. And so you're getting an already solid coach that can do it. And then you're giving him a very high budget at this level of basketball that they're playing. So he's going to find that success, probably jump up and within 3 or 4 years, and then Murray State just go find the next coach. And then that cycle continues.
Right. And I guess that makes it more desirable to be the next coach at Murray State, because no offense to anybody, but like there's probably no one or few people who are like, yeah, my dream is to be like the coach at Murray State. And it's like, Murray State has a good NIL, like I can get good players.
You're gonna be set up for success.
I can identify right away. Them. I can use this as like a stepping stone to the next spot. And like, that's not that bad of a deal for Murray State either.
No, because if you're a fan of Murray State, you're going to consistently get good coaches at that
Yeah,
point in time. So even though maybe they'll be gone in 3, 4 years, they're going to hire another good one.
right.
So you know that you're in with the era of the transfer portal and NIL, you don't have to worry about spending 2, 3 years to rebuild. It's just reloading next year because the next guy's going to, the next Ryan Miller is going to come in and go find Lane Taylor from Central Arkansas, give him 100K to come be your star guard at Murray State.
Yeah,
Like it's always just going to be the next guy that's the next man up mentality with a very high budget of NIL behind him.
yeah. And I like that you brought up.
Meanwhile,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, meanwhile, schools like Valpo, for example, struggle because you don't have unlimited NIL.
Mm-hmm.
Valpo is not like oh my God, I want to be Valpo's basketball coach unless you're a Drew. Like it's
Yeah.
not really
Or Roger
a
Powell.
favorable
Yeah.
spot to be in.
Roger Powell likes to be there. Yeah,
Which is good. That's the kind of people you need coaching teams like that.
Yeah, and I think, because I thought so before 2 seasons ago, so I think it was before Powell's first season, he was talking about Cooper Schwieger and was saying like to Schwieger, like if you stay 4 years, like you will be like one of the Valpo legends. Like you will be like one of the best Valpo players ever if you stay 4 years and you lock in and you like commit to this. And when he didn't enter the transfer portal after his freshman year, I thought that's what was going to happen. Like I thought like, okay, he's like committed to this. But then he entered the transfer portal and I think he's going to Wake.
Going to Wake. Yeah.
He's going to Wake, which like he has no ties. I think he's from Missouri or something. Like he has no ties to Valpo. So like I don't blame him for going to Wake and getting good money to be presumably a backup at Wake.
Mm-hmm.
But like I thought that the way that it was going to go was like Powell was going to get these guys and they were going to, lock in. He was going to find like a core that was going to stay. And that didn't happen. And then he ended up coming out and saying like, not exactly, but basically saying like, come to Valpo, ball out for a year, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like we will not use, but like we will benefit from having you here and you will benefit from coming here.
Mm.
I think that's a strategy too that I think people talk about and they're like, dude, it's just a stepping stone. People are just using this to go to like a high major.
Yeah.
And I think that's true.
Yeah.
And I think you have to pick one side. Like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? But I don't think it's that black and white.
It's not. I think it depends on the school because, if you embrace that mentality and that's what your fans learn to understand is going to happen, I think it's totally fine. Because, like, if you can become that, you find the guys that are like, hey, he's going to go play at Xavier, or he's going to go play at Butler after this, like, whatever it is. And you get those guys consistently. So every single year, even though you're going to have a different roster, the next season you are competing for a Missouri Valley title. Fans should be okay with that because, like, at this day and age, it's just if I'm a fan, I know the days of loyalty are over. So if I'm still watching this and I want my team to win, and if that's going to be the best recipe to make my team win, then I'm cool buying in on that. I think it kind of depends on the school. There's like some smaller schools too in the lower conferences that I'm seeing. Jeremy Schulman at UT Martin's doing this. He's building out rosters of like pretty much all JUCOs, and then once a couple of his players that did very well at UT Martin last year, I can't remember where they ended up, but they ended up going to like higher majors, not necessarily power schools, but like high majors in the non-power conference ranks. So I think you can embrace that mentality if you're cool with, again, getting your fan base behind it, and number two, building that pipeline of recruiting to be able to go out and find those guys that aren't going to immediately get 150K from a school.
Feel like a lot of you're always going to have like the old head takes where like they should stay 4 years and they're there to play, but like the way I think of it is like I would never be mad at someone for chasing the bag. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Like sometimes players will get some money and they'll do maybe a lateral transfer or whatever, but they'll get maybe the same amount of money or less money or more money, but like, and then it doesn't work out. But like, if I was in their situation and like someone was offering me $20,000 to go play at Valpo, like I'd be like, yeah, sure. Like, why wouldn't I? Like, I'm never gonna be mad at the players, and I think that like maybe I'm just not an old head, and I'm an old head in some things, but not in this, where I think that whatever the players can get, they should get, and the NCAA apparently is agreeing because people are getting multiple millions of dollars.
Hopefully the revenue sharing helps out, maybe.
Yeah.
Bringing that in a little bit. But I do think that, like, one thing I've noticed from following the transfer portal pretty closely, I think we're going to see more kids who transfer to these power conference schools and don't play make it start showing that the grass isn't always greener. Like, I think at some point in time you need to ask yourself the question of, am I going to play professional basketball somewhere?
Yeah.
If the answer is probably no, then do you want to go sit on Clemson's bench for $100K when you're 21, or do you want to be the dude at Belmont for 75K to 50K or whatever it is if you're a top dog, or even 30K? Like, I think a good example is, I know Connor Turnbull went back to Evansville. His NIL is somewhere between 35 and 50, from my understanding.
Right.
He could probably go make a lot more money somewhere else, but he's not going to play. He's not going to be the starting center. He's not going to be the dude anywhere. So it's kind of like dependent on, do you want to play? If so, you can still make money and do it, and then have the rest of your career to go coach basketball or whatever you want to do. Or do you want to take the bag and sit and, only play 8 minutes a game?
Well, with how things are going now, you can go get a bag somewhere, only play a handful of games, maybe not play at all, and then just transfer back somewhere else, and then you've made your bag. Now you can go be a dude.
That's very true. Yeah, I mean, if you're willing to spend like the year and be like, hey, I went to Ole Miss and made my $200K, I'm gonna go back to, because literally, oh man, I was just looking at them. I have an article coming out tomorrow in my newsletter for UC Santa Barbara, and Aiden Mahaney spent 2 years at St. Mary's, went to UConn, played 12 minutes a game, going right back to the West Coast at UC Santa Barbara. And I'm like, he probably made, I don't know what his NIL was, I'm assuming a lot at UConn because there's Dan Hurley, and now he's coming back. He spent his year there, played his freshman, sophomore year, kind of set the bench his junior year, and now he's coming back to dominate his senior year.
Crazy how he got like worse every year, but also I don't blame him. I'd want to be on the West Coast too, and like I'd also want to play more. Like, you tried it.
You're telling me you're paying me to go play at UC Santa Barbara? Absolutely, sign me up, man.
We call it, in the state of basketball, I guess we call that the Peyton Sparks. You go try it at Indiana. You don't play nearly ever, and then you go back to Ball State, and like, we talked about this when Peyton was transferring. It's like that, as Mike Lewis, like, that has to suck to hear that he's transferring, because like you retained, when you came in, you retained him off the previous staff, and like that has to feel good. But then, as a guy who was literally a player at Indiana, you have to be like, your dream, Peyton, was not to play here. Your dream was to go play at Indiana.
Yeah.
And he goes and sits the bench at Indiana, and then he realizes, like, yeah, that was my dream, I did it, but like where I am valued and like to be and can play basketball is at Ball State. And he goes back, and I just hope it happens before people run out of eligibility, which might not happen for anybody soon. Everyone can play 50 years, I guess.
Hey man, Chad Baker-Mazara is playing another year, allegedly.
Dude,
at USC.
I don't understand the people who
at
are
26 years old.
I don't understand how there are so many people without eligibility who are in the portal. Like, are they just relying on?
I think it's
it being like.
I think there's
losing.
Yeah, they're doing it. From what I've seen, is that agents and schools are telling them to do that because if they're in the portal and the bill passes or
Then
gets
they can
denied
go.
or whatever the
Yep.
actual nomenclature, then they
Yeah.
can play another year.
Yeah.
And if they're in the portal, then they can still come back to their school
Right.
as a grad transfer. That's like, but also,
It's just keeping all your doors open.
yeah,
Yeah, pretty much. It is silly though, because there was a lot of players that did
Yeah,
that.
it's kind of
Yeah.
annoying. Like that might be my oldest head take. Is like, all right, like if you want to
At some
get,
point in time,
if you
dude, if
wanna-
you're 26 years old playing college basketball,
Yeah.
like guys, just sign up for Indeed. Man,
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
if the if they want to say like we're getting rid of the 4 years of eligibility or whatever, like fine, like that's also fine with me, but like that's just not the rule right now. So I'm like, yeah, okay, at a certain point you're just like, yeah, we'll see what happens. But like if they want to
Yeah.
get rid of it and like Hunter Dickinson wants to play for every school in the country, sure. Like if
I don't think I can mentally
imagine we
take another
still have
season of Hunter
Jimmer in
Dickinson.
college. Like Jimmer could still be playing right now. They just never
Yeah.
get rid of it.
That's what makes a lot of people mad too about it is not to go on the tangent, but like, or I guess more of a tangent, but like, then at what time does college become, like, where's the line of amateurism
Right.
if there's just no
Well, I-
eligibility?
Get
I
okay.
think we've totally crossed that line
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
you
is there
cap-
is
okay,
there now a relegation system
you
like
cap it. Here we
European
go.
soccer?
You cap the money that players can make, and then you get rid of eligibility. So like you can play forever, but you're never gonna make more than this. So it's like
Becoming the independent leagues.
yeah, like I'm the guy for a high major team, but like I'm Luka Garza, so like I'm not NBA suited. So like I'm Luka Garza, I can score 35 a night for Iowa forever.
Yeah.
I'm more thinking, do we got the 32-year-old local accountant playing for Valpo still, like making $10K a year on top
Yeah.
doing it? Like,
Hey man, why you just got to take some classes. People are walking out of there with multiple doctorates.
Well, here's
Could be
something from our Twitch chat, Resinezzi. He said the problem is every time someone tries to regulate, another lawsuit comes in and it breaks the hope of regulation.
Yeah.
Great point. Like,
well, it's no different than I'm a Vanderbilt fan, so I'm pumped Diego Pavia is coming back next season.
Yeah.
However, I think it's stupid.
Yeah.
Like, it's absurd to me that now
Anthony
JUCO
Leal.
rules for thee, but not for me.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Oh yeah, I mean, if you can benefit, sure, but like,
But
yeah.
once you make $20 million in NIL, you can no longer play.
Well, I mean, even when you look at the
That was a very exaggerated, but you said regulate how much they can make. Is that like over their career? So like once you've eclipsed the 20 million,
if still got eligibility. I mean, if college players are getting paid, why not Braun?
Yeah.
Why not Braun to Akron? Braun and Bronny combo.
No, to Duquesne, bro.
Playing
you
for
gotta
Drew
bring him
Joyce.
Duquesne.
That would be so funny. It would be so funny to see something like that. Like how J.R. Smith was playing golf.
Oh my god, I
college.
forgot about that.
Yeah, dude. Like I think that's funny. Let him play.
There was a center fielder on the Marlins a few years ago, and I just randomly saw he'd retired and he was playing tight end in Arkansas because he had 1 year of eligibility left. And I'm like, this dude's 28 years old playing tight end at Arkansas. I have no clue if he saw the field, but I was like, that is just wild to me.
Bro, I'm 29 and my joints would not let me play tight end.
Here's another thing from Resinezzi is he talked to Coach Powell when he did that community like Viking Chili Bowl thing.
Yeah.
And Powell said that he and a coalition within his coaching groups are heavy advocates for contracts with buyouts to become the standard. So
Players.
yeah, so Roger Powell is heavily involved.
Bro,
advocating
imagine you're
for that.
like at Evansville and you're making
You need it.
$30K and your buyouts $250,000. Like,
Yeah, dude. I mean, if I saw Gabriel Pizzato play basketball before
yeah,
he stepped foot on campus, I'm telling him your buyout's $1 million. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Like,
Yeah.
I
literally.
mean, I wrote an article. Actually, it's like one of my most viewed articles, but it was about contracts because you need them. Like contract, it needs to be if you're a small non-power conference school like Valpo, for example, or Evansville, it needs to be 2-year contracts when you sign as a freshman and a sophomore year, and then you need to have a buyout after if you want out that. You, of course, I think you still need that. If your coach leaves or whatever, you can leave
Yeah.
if you want to, and you don't have to do a buyout. Like that's fine. You still need those, but you have to enter this realm of contracts with buyouts if you want to leave, because it's no different than what I said earlier with A&M paying Samford like 700 something K to buy
Mhm.
out Bucky McMillan. It needs to be the same thing for players because you can buy out coaches. Why can't you buy out players? It makes no sense why you can't do that.
If you're a young player like Pizzato, right,
Mhm.
and you get 30K to go to Evansville, but then you see in your NIL contract you've got a buyout for $1 million. Are you thinking as a young kid, right, an 18-year-old kid? Are you thinking, wow, I'm worth $1 million?
You
Why
leak
am I
it.
going to this school?
You leak it. You leak it because then you're like, people are like, hang on, why is his buyout $1 million? I'll give you 200K
Right, like so,
open
like
market.
does that become an issue with smaller schools and buyouts like that?
Well, I mean, if you're Pizzato, you'd be like, I'm not gonna sign that. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think there's like a level of what do you think your actual talent level's at,
Yeah,
and
and
like
you
what do you
have
think your
parents,
potential ceiling
hopefully.
is.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because
I think that's a
hope to
great
God you
idea,
don't do
though.
that.
I think that's a great idea because, like, yeah, coaches have buyouts, so like, why not players? If you're gonna play them or pay them, like, why not have something that guarantees that you just don't get screwed? The buyouts don't have to be crazy,
No,
but like,
but I mean, literally, we
let
come
the
back to
small schools
Pizzato.
benefit because conversely, what if I'm at Indiana and I have a buyout and I want to transfer to a smaller school?
Yep.
That's
Can I bypass that buyout?
See, I think that's the thing though, is like adds an extra level of
I didn't think about
strategy to
that.
it because all of a sudden, let's say you go to IU and your buyout's $1 million and you're like, fuck, I'm not playing. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're like, I can't leave. I'm stuck. So that's also some of the when you bet on yourself to go to that next level, you have to embrace that there's a chance you might get stuck and you can't get out of it unless you want
Yeah.
to pay for it. Maybe there's that option that if you got rich parents and they want to come in and
Oh
pay you
my
out.
God. Could you
But
or
imagine?
maybe it's
or
like one of those things where like if you're transferring if you go to a Power 5 and you're like, okay, if you want to leave, here's a $250,000 buyout. But if you want to transfer to like a mid-major, there's no buyout.
Coaches
agreed.
have like things written in their contract, right? Like, I will, if this school calls, no buyout, right?
Mm-hmm.
That, like, if it's not this league, this league, no buyout. There you
I
go.
mean,
Yeah.
you
All right, NCAA,
also
hire me.
I mean you could also do something too where it's like no different than MLB contracts. Sometimes you just end up eating it, right? So
Yeah,
release the player off your scholarship
True.
roster and you still pay him, and then
yeah,
let him go sign somewhere else and make money there. I
right.
mean, it happens all the time in baseball.
How much is that roster spot worth? How much is
I
that?
mean, if you're paying a dude 250 to not play and his buyout's 100, you might just eat the 100
Yeah,
to free up your scholarship because I think what your rosters are now at 15 capped with the revenue
Yeah.
yeah,
deal.
yeah. I guess you'd see it. I guess you'd see it like probably in inverse. Like, if you're a bench piece, obviously, like at a Power 5 school, you'd have like a $100,000 NIL deal and then like a $20,000 buyout. But if you're like a starter at like a Samford, you'd have like a $50,000 contract and then like $150,000 buyout.
Yeah.
There'd
Yep.
probably be an inverse thing there.
There's a reason that GMs are being hired for all these teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have I told you my dream is to be the spokesperson for the NCAA because they make, they have everyone's mad at the NCAA always. So like I want to remove. I want to remove them from that hatred. I want to be anytime that there's any announcement. I want to be the guy in front of the mic or behind the mic giving that announcement. So then people can be mad at me and they're like, I hate this guy. Separates the NCAA a little bit. Gets me the bag. Might work out. Call me. I'm close.
Dude, I just need somebody to give me a GM spot, man. So if there's any coaches out there, I have my MBA and I'm a manager in operations. So hire me as your GM, please. Thank you.
You hear that? You hear that, David Ragland? He's an alum. He cares.
My contract offers, I'll start at 200. That's fine, and then we can do
$200
bonuses on top of that.
$200? That's cheap.
Book it, boys.
And I'm his agent, so
yeah, we're actually
he gets 20% of whatever I make.
You're not going to believe this. We have mandates about the coffee in the facility. All right. I guess, do you have any teams that you are, before, as we kind of wrap this up, do you have any teams that you are keeping an eye on that you think are teams that people should watch, like, for this upcoming season on the mid-major level?
Yeah, I've been starting to put together lists because last off season, I started doing all those off season reviews where I do like in-depth coverage of each. Well, I can't do every single team, but certain teams. So I've started putting together a list, and really, I know I talked about UC Santa Barbara. I think that's one that's kind of underrated that I think could be pretty solid next season. San Francisco is going to be really good. They're going to be really, really good. Like I'm talking, could be competing for the top of that conference next season.
They just got a new coach, didn't
they? I don't think so.
Maybe it was in a.
Technically, you just said they got a new coach, not a new head coach.
Well, because Golden left. I think it's the same guy. Why am I drawing a blank on his name? Oh my gosh. Because it was the guy that got hired after Golden went to Florida. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now.
Chris Gerlufsen.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it.
Bro, that's one crazy last name.
I think they hired Alfred. Corey Alfred, didn't they? No. That was from Huntington. No, not San Francisco. I'm making things up.
Let's move on. So you're talking about UC Santa Barbara. You're talking about San Francisco? No, you didn't say Santa Barbara. Did you say Santa Barbara?
Yeah, I said Santa Barbara.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many UC schools, man. They all just...
I mean, pretty much the entire Big West is just UC schools.
Yeah.
But yeah, San Francisco is going to be really solid. They somehow managed to keep Marcus Williams in there as well. Like that roster is going to be very, very solid. They have one of the top non-power conference. I'm sorry, wait, Marcus Williams graduated. I'm dumb. Tyrone Riley is who I was talking about.
Corey Alford went to Oral Roberts.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah. Anyway,
here's those.
That roster's solid. I think, like in terms of Indiana schools, I think IU Indy is going to be better this year.
I do too.
Like
they brought back quite a bit.
Yeah, they did.
Like they lost all the pieces they had to lose. Because of eligibility. If that's a thing. But like,
I mean, if all of a sudden he gets, let's say he gets IU Indy to 500 this year, finishing the season. I mean, that's a huge win for that program.
Yeah, because I don't think their arena is going to be built this year. I think it's the year after is when they finish it. But like, if there's momentum and then they get that on-campus arena back, like, there's little campus life at IU Indy, but the closer to the students that they can get and like actually have it poppin', it's gonna be real nice to go down to the jungle down there.
Man, yeah, I'm gonna want to go to a game once they get that thing open. Other schools. Let me pull up my list over here. I think High Point's gonna be good again. They brought in a decent transfer portal, even with the coaching change. I like North Texas's hire Cleveland State's guy a lot. I think they're going to be a solid team overall too. He brought in I think 3 or 4 guys from the Cleveland State team that were all pretty solid. Mm-hmm. So that team, I think North Texas can be good again as well there.
Murray, you liking Murray?
Oh, I love Murray. Like it as an Evansville fan, it pains me to root for Murray State, but I think Murray State's going to like do wonders for the Missouri Valley this year. So, because I think really, I think Missouri Valley's so close to being a two-bid league.
Yeah.
I think it could happen this year. I really do think it could happen this year, and I hope it does. But honestly, having a team that could be a borderline top 25 team, except maybe actually kind of take that next step and be a top 25 team, depending on what they're. The problem is nobody's going to want to schedule them. Same thing with Drake last year. Nobody's going to want to schedule them.
Right.
Or Indiana State the year prior. So we'll just kind of see what happens there. But yeah, I think Murray State's got an insane roster.
Your next job is to identify which of the commits for Evansville is going to be playing Power Conference basketball next year, because then it's been 2 years in a row, right? Got Humberhouse and Pizzato back to back. Pizzado's going to where? Xavier.
Yeah.
Same with all right, dude. What a matchup.
Xavier's loaded.
Yeah,
they are loaded. They're going to be really good next year.
I cannot believe that they got Sean Millard again. Again, dude. Like if I'm Xavier, if I'm a Xavier fan, I hate him for life. For life, dude. It's like you used us already as a stepping stone, and then you were hung out to dry, and we brought you back in as a lifeline, and you just abandoned us as soon as you possibly could. Oh, that's so dirty.
Honestly, though, hiring Patino, great hire.
Yeah,
for them. Yeah. So
that's you know. You can do
Where
worse.
did Donovan Dent commit? I'm drawing a blank because he didn't go to Xavier. Was it UCLA?
That sounds right.
UCLA.
UCLA Bruins guard. Yeah. Bro, it pains me to see birthdays in the 2000s for these players.
Dog, we're old.
I know. I think with like the eligibility thing, it was like close, like of not being older than everyone, but like the last 2 years, like we've just been older than everybody in college basketball.
Really older than Chad?
Dude, yeah, barely. Probably haven't been married as long as some of these BYU players.
Jesus. Okay.
That's a crazy thing that BYU is just racks university right now, just paying everybody. The former NBA coach just paying everybody a lot of money to go play there. It's cool, but I mean, you definitely have to pay me a lot to go to BYU. That's for sure. That is for sure. So we will write down those picks, and if you're wrong, we will remind you that you are wrong. We will not bring up the ones you're right about.
To be fair, it's hard to make picks on May 4th for next season.
I wrote them down, and it says Elliott's picks. It's in.
Talk to me in October, and I think I'll probably have different answers.
There's so much roster turnaround that it's just all guesswork.
There's still teams who have like only 3 scholarships, man. It's insane.
Yeah. Like, what's going on here? Anybody home?
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting just to see like how many people I think like even played at like Indiana State, for example, played like good minutes are still like transferring down a level and like out of the Missouri Valley into like a lower major school. It's like that's not what I would expect. Like, why not just stay? I mean, I have no, not even a guess of what their NIL package is at Indiana State right now, but like,
I believe it's top 6. From my understanding.
That's pretty good.
So
I mean, I know that Matt Graves, like, you know, I know that was important because that was one of the things that they were trying to rally to keep shirts.
Yeah.
You think they're going to be good? You think St. Louis is going to be all right?
I think SLU's a hard school. I think it's a hard school the A10 is so tough. And it's funny. I think the A10 could be like a 3 or 4 bid league every year, and it turns out to be like a 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But like,
oh God, Dayton.
I do know. Well, I have somehow managed to get a source within them. Their NIL is insane, so I think he'll turn it around. That dude's got a lot of money to play with. So his NIL is well over $1 million.
Sheesh. That's nuts. All right. Well, we got your picks written in stone. Got them down here. I put a notification to remind me to bring it up to you.
Remind you in
Yeah.
12 months.
Remind me 8 months. You got anything else you want to let the people know where your coffee is, where your writings are? You know, you're a writer. We're not writers. We're random talkers.
Yeah, I mean, you can check out my coffee. You can get the 25% discount off subscriptions if you wish. And then I can't remember. I think it's 10 or 15% for regular orders. I don't remember actually off the top of my head.
It's a good deal is what it is.
But you can get that down their description down below it. And also the website cncoffeeroasters.com. I literally just added a new one, sending out the email tomorrow announcing that one. So it's actually one of my favorites I've roasted in a while.
Is it a
And
dark
then
roast?
It's medium dark.
All right. Well, check it out. Is it called the State of Basketball Brew?
We do need to make that.
We
do need
do.
to make that.
We'll have to come down. We'll have to sample. We'll have to be like, this is the one. This is the one. You know,
I'm in.
if it's in our contract.
Yeah. I wouldn't say no. We'll schedule it around a basketball game.
Yeah, we do need to get together as well for some game. I don't know where you were when we were in Evansville, but
I was in Indy.
Yeah, come on, you were in the state.
I literally passed you guys.
Were you at a Pacers game or something?
Yeah, I went to Pacer games.
Come on, man. Come on.
Hey, I paid too much for those tickets, so I was going no matter what.
All right, we should have gotten you sooner. But did they win? Did they win?
They did. I don't remember who they played off the top of my head now.
All right. I don't know. It's unfortunate you're not allowed back. They banned you and Hallie's dad at the same time.
Yeah, I got on the court. I got at Giannis's face. You just didn't see it.
You were back there the whole time.
I was just hyping his dad up behind him. Yeah, you get him.
You're not gonna believe this. I was holding the other side. All right. Well, I don't know. I feel like we got to do this again. This is fun. We got to do this again before the season begins.
Oh yeah, we need to do an actual like preseason review.
Yeah, you know all the teams that we're supposed to know. That are we focus on 11, so you've got, I guess, if you take out the high majors, carry the one, you got the rest of them. You got the rest of them you got to focus on.
What is that? 352 ish, 353.
Dude, I don't know, man. It changes every year, right?
I don't think there's any new ones joining this year.
Yeah, but we lost one, didn't we? Didn't we lose one?
Yes, yeah, because it was 364. You lost St. Francis, so down 363.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know as well this year because I wasn't looking for the last spot for one of our tems, which felt really good. Good. I was not looking. It's like, no, 363 again. No, this team has 2 wins. I didn't have to do that, so that felt good.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't have to do it for...
We're never going to do it again.
Yeah. Forever.
Yeah.
It is funny though. I talk to like people who are non-college basketball watchers who are like college football or something.
Yeah.
They're like, what? There's like 120 teams. I'm like, no. Triple it.
Literally.
Triple it. That's how many college basketball teams there are.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for coming on. It was a ton of fun. We'll do this again before the season, I'm sure. And we'll make it our mission to get together for a game somewhere. Maybe that Evansville Notre Dame game, wouldn't be too bad.
Well, a little longer of a travel for him than us, but
I'm a little selfish, a little concerned about me. That's for him. That's for him to work out. I would be willing to pick you up from the airport. I'll put that out there.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, thanks, Elliott. We will for sure catch up soon.
Perfect. That sounds great. And for anybody out there who wants to follow mid-major college basketball, check out bracketbusterhoops.com and sign up for my weekly newsletter. Get it straight to your inbox. You won't miss it.
There you go. All you need.
Yeah.
All
All right.
Thanks for having me, boys.
All right.
See ya. Thanks, man. Guy knows mid-major ball.
A lot more than I do.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot more teams. You know, we were smart. we were smart moving to only 11 instead of just the one that we that we like. So, ton of fun. If you like mid-major hoops, like he said, go check out Bracket Busters. Follow him on Twitter. Subscribe to his Substack. Join the Discord. Talk about any team you want. Good time.
Anything else for us?
No, I don't know what we're gonna be doing next week. I'm gonna try and set something up. We'll see. I'm gonna try and swing some things for our Indiana State fans. I will try. That is the only thing I'm gonna say, because I don't know that it's gonna happen. So,
and just I will add the subtle plug again. Subtle's maybe not a very obvious plug. But because it is the off season, right? We're gonna be doing a lot more of these interviews. That means we might not be live every Sunday, right? We'll still put out the episode every Monday morning, regardless of who we're talking to, whatever it is. But we might not be live. And if we're not live, we will make sure to let you all know why.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll still have weekly episodes. Just might not be in the live format as often. It really depends on scheduling.
Yeah.
But
Sometimes we interview people on Sundays. Sometimes it's a Wednesday. Sometimes it's 2 weeks before the episode comes out.
yeah,
We'll see.
it happens. But all right, the clock is showing quadruple zeros, so it's time for us to get out of here. Thanks for checking in on the State of Basketball podcast. We will see you next time. And remember, in 49 states,
It's just basketball.